to preface the One Frame Back feature on Roald Dahl films with a thoughtful discussion of the more worrying parts of Dahl's personal story and whether it should affect any appreciation of his work. The Dahl story is one that hits home, as my late grandfather was a friend of Roald Dahl's. They fell out in 1983 after Dahl was apparently quoted as ridiculously saying, among other things, that Jews did not fight in World War II. My grandfather, a Jew who Dahl knew volunteered to fight in the US Army after being stranded on a 1939 Leeds school trip to Canada, it's a long story, apparently confronted Dahl and their friendship didn't survive. Isn't that an incredible insight from Joel? Joel, thank you very much. Even though we all knew this story growing up, it didn't stop the Dahl books being read in our house, or me introducing them to my own kids a generation later, although punctuated with conversations about the difference between an artist and their art. May I suggest coining the phrase the Dahl dilemma for that feeling that we face when consuming art created by problematic people? Over the last few years, the Dahl dilemma has seemed to come up more and more. I'm interested to know how you both approach things like the urge to switch the station when a Michael Jackson song comes on the radio, or you realize that watching Glengarry Glen Ross or Usual Suspects would entail mixed emotions as you admire the performance of Kevin Spacey. It seems that the worst solution is to let money or quality of the art dictate how blind an eye you are willing to take. It does seem easier to castigate the mediocre works of flawed artists than great works of those with similar failings. And a cynic may also question the choreography of the timing of the Dahl family's apology relative to the sale of rights to his books to Netflix the same year. No easy solution. I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to raise the issue and hope you'll continue to do so in other contexts. Can I just say, as someone who plays Michael Jackson records on Greatest Hits, where we play a lot of Michael Jackson, this is obviously, if we've discussed this many times before, but many people would think they might think I don't want to hear Michael Jackson and turn the radio off. Equally, you have to be able to hold both views at the same time, which is he was I'm just talking this about Jackson, an iconic music artist and whose musical contribution you can't really ignore. And if he was alive today, he would be in prison. So I think but this dilemma that he's talking about has been true for many years. Roman Polanski films, for example. Anyway.
No, absolutely. And there's the thing about, trust the tale, not the teller. But obviously we don't have an answer to this because we are not grand philosophers, but thank you for that. Even that story is extraordinary.
Yes. And can I just so two things about that. First of all, to have that particular, I haven't read that story anywhere, Joel, but the fact that your dad fell out with Roald Dahl, even though Dahl knew that his father had fought as a Jew in the US Army, is incredible and really highlights the ghastliness of Dahl's views. But also just the fact, I was thinking, here is a separate movie.
I know,
the fact that he volunteered to fight in the US Army after being stranded on a 1939 Leeds school trip to Canada.
And then he says, it's a long story. And I kind of think, pitch me the long story.
Yes.
I'll pay to see that. And I can imagine already the final confrontation with him, and Dahl, in which he says, you this to be the case.
Joel, you need to do something with that story. Because having put it on the podcast, you can guarantee that a few screenwriters are going
already.
Hang on a second.
Is old Parker listening?
Almost there.
Oh, you can't have it.
Ed Thomas just saw the film